His face sent shivers down spines worldwide. But who was the man beneath the monster mask? Boris Karloff, a name forever etched in horror history. Yet behind Frankenstein's terrifying glare hid a gentle, thoughtful soul. Fame gave him everything, then took it back when he became the creature of nightmares. How do you escape a role that becomes your identity? But Karloff didn't just survive his monsters, he conquered them. His story is one of unimaginable success, heartbreaking struggle, and an astonishing comeback. Today, we unravel the legend of Boris Karloff, from horror icon to forgotten shadow, and his ultimate rise beyond the shadow of Frankenstein. This is a story of horror, hope, and the unbreakable human spirit. Stay with us as we peel back the mask to reveal the man behind the monster. Before Boris Karloff terrified audiences around the globe, there was William Henry Pratt, a quiet English boy with no hint of the nightmares he would bring to life on screen. Born in 1887 to a family of esteemed diplomats, young William was expected to follow a path of propriety and tradition. But destiny had something much darker in store. William's imagination ran wild as a child, fueled by myths and legends of larger-than-life characters. These daydreams were more than a child's escape. They would ignite a transformation. His spark for performance was lit during university, where he defied his family's rigid expectations. Against all odds, he abandoned school and took a daring leap. The name William Henry Pratt faded away, replaced by Boris Karloff. But chasing dreams is never easy. Karloff faced a brutal reality, working grueling labor jobs by day and performing in rundown theaters by night. The glamour of stardom seemed like a distant fantasy. I often wondered, had I made the biggest mistake of my life? But I couldn't let the dream go. Years passed in obscurity. Hunger and rejection became constant companions. Yet Karloff endured. Slowly he earned bit parts in silent films. His sharp features and intense gaze caught the attention of directors who sensed they had found something rare. And then it happened. In 1931, Universal Studios sought the perfect actor to play Frankenstein's monster. Bela Lugosi, fresh off his Dracula success, was the original choice, but creative clashes with director James Whale forced Lugosi to walk away. Whale turned to Karloff, whose eerie presence seemed destined for the role. To embody the monster, Karloff endured hours in makeup artist Jack Pierce's chair. Layers of wax, gauze, and paint transformed him into a lumbering giant. The 50-pound costume was agony, each step like dragging lead weights. But Karloff embraced the pain. He knew this was his moment. The result was more than a monster. Karloff gave the creature a haunting sorrow that pierced our audience's hearts. Beneath the bolts and scars was a tragic soul. Abandoned, feared, misunderstood, Frankenstein became a phenomenon, elevating Karloff from obscurity to global stardom. Boris Karloff had arrived. No longer an invisible face in the crowd, he became Hollywood's new king of fear. But triumph in Tinseltown casts shadows of its own. With Frankenstein's success, Universal Studios ushered in a golden era of horror. Karloff quickly became their prized star, collaborating with visionaries like James Whale and Edgar G. Ulmer. He became a man of many horrors, eternally cursed in The Mummy, haunted by madness in The Black Cat. Each role blended terror and pathos in ways few could match. I never saw them as monsters. To me, they were tragic figures, misunderstood, often abandoned. That's where the real horror lies. Karloff's empathy for his characters gave them timeless resonance. His creatures didn't just frighten, They lingered in the hearts of audiences long after the credits rolled. But fame in Hollywood is a dangerous beast. The spotlight may shine bright, but its heat can scar. For Karloff, success came with a price, a burden that would shape his soul in ways few could have predicted. Fame is a double-edged sword, and for Boris Karloff, it cut deep, immortalized by his monster roles. But that immortality came at a steep price. Hollywood chained him to the very creatures that made him famous, and those chains tightened with each passing year. Once I played the monster, it became impossible to convince people I could play anything else. Hollywood thrives on repetition. Despite Karloff's range, studio executives saw him as nothing more than the face of fear. Offers for complex roles vanished. Karloff found himself trapped, locked in a cycle of formulaic horror films, each more predictable than the last. Karloff dreamed of breaking free, but his struggle was more than typecasting. The very roles that brought him fame were also destroying his body. Day after day, Karloff endured grueling physical demands. His spine bore the weight of suffocating prosthetics and rigid costumes. Frankenstein's 50-pound boots left his feet blistered and aching. The accumulated strain led to chronic back pain and crippling arthritis. By the late 1930s, Karloff often needed a cane to move. Yet he never gave up. Despite the pain, Karloff poured his soul into each performance. Horror may have been his prison, but it also kept him relevant in a rapidly shifting Hollywood. But typecasting and physical suffering weren't his only burdens. Another source of tension lay in his complex relationship with fellow horror icon Bela Lugosi. Hollywood thrived on rivalry, and it found the perfect narrative. Karloff versus Lugosi, Dracula versus Frankenstein. The public devoured stories of their supposed feud, but behind the headlines lay a deeper truth, one of competition, admiration, and tragedy. I always admired Bela. He had a commanding presence on screen, but he wasn't given the same opportunities I had. While Karloff's career remained relatively stable, Lugosi's decline was swift and brutal. After his Dracula triumph, Lugosi faded into obscurity, grappling with addiction and poverty. Though he resented Karloff's continued success, both men understood the burden of being trapped by their fame. They were bound by a shared fate, icons of terror, misunderstood and discarded by a system that valued them only for their ability to scare. They were stars in the same haunted galaxy, forever linked by the roles that both elevated and imprisoned them. But Karloff refused to be defined solely by the monster. As the horror craze of the 1930s waned, he sought new opportunities. He found them in the emerging worlds of radio and television, where his chilling yet captivating voice became his most powerful tool. Karloff's deep, resonant tones gave life to audio dramas and anthology series. Audiences were spellbound, not just by the menace in his voice, but by the humanity beneath it. Karloff's voice could haunt, yet also comfort. Through these performances, he proved he was more than just a man in makeup. Though his body was failing, Karloff's spirit remained unbreakable. He evolved, adapted, and earned the admiration of a new generation of fans. But his journey wasn't over yet. Just when the world thought they had seen all he could offer, Karloff defied expectations once more. He was about to embark on a final transformation, one that would secure his place in pop culture history forever. Coming up, how Boris Karloff became a beloved figure for audiences of all ages, proving that even the darkest monsters can find a place in the hearts of millions. For many actors, typecasting is a slow and inescapable death sentence. But Boris Karloff was no ordinary actor. Despite a frail body worn down by years of grueling roles, he refused to vanish into obscurity. Instead, he embarked on a remarkable journey of reinvention, one that would redefine his legacy. Determined to escape the cliches of horror, Karloff sought roles that challenged him as an artist. He brought depth to his characters, balancing menace with vulnerability, fear with sorrow. His performances became more than just frightening. They became profound studies of human nature. In The Body Snatcher, Karloff transcended the typical monster archetype. He portrayed a morally conflicted grave robber, haunted by the darkness of his own deeds. Critics were captivated, hailing the film as a testament to Karloff's maturity and depth. It proved he wasn't just portraying monsters. He was exploring the monsters within. But horror wasn't the only genre Karloff would conquer in his later years. In 1966, he took on a project that would forever immortalize him in a new light. That year, he voiced and narrated How the Grinch Stole Christmas, a holiday special that would become an enduring classic. With his unmistakable voice, Karloff brought the Grinch to life. He gave the character both menace and charm, making viewers fear and sympathize with the Christmas-hating creature. It was a masterful balance, capturing both the darkness and redemption at the heart of Dr. Seuss's story. The special became an instant favorite, enchanting generations of children and parents alike. Even today, it remains one of the most beloved holiday programs, a testament to Karloff's unique ability to inspire joy as easily as he once inspired fear. But Karloff's impact went far beyond the screen. After his passing in 1969, his influence on the horror genre endured for decades. Visionary filmmakers like Guillermo del Toro and Tim Burton have credited Karloff's performances as profound sources of inspiration. Boris Karloff's performances taught me that monsters can be both terrifying and tragic. That's what gives them power. Christopher Lee, another horror legend, described Karloff as the epitome of dignity and grace in the face of typecasting. It was that quiet dignity, his refusal to let the industry define him, that became Karloff's true superpower. Off-screen, Karloff was known not for his monstrous roles, but for his deep kindness and generosity. He mentored young actors, supported struggling colleagues, and advocated for better working conditions across the industry. Despite the physical agony he endured, Karloff's gentle spirit remained unbroken. To those who knew him, Boris Karloff wasn't a monster. He was one of Hollywood's kindest and most respected figures. His legacy is one of empathy, of finding humanity even in the darkest of places. And so, his journey comes full circle. Karloff's rise, fall, and ultimate redemption reveal a story far greater than the sum of his monstrous roles. But that leaves one final question. Did Boris Karloff control his fate? Or was he always destined to become Hollywood's greatest and most tragic monster? From William Henry Pratt to Boris Karloff, his journey was one of extraordinary transformation. He became a legend by breathing life into nightmares, only to have those same monsters threaten to define him. But Karloff's story is not one of defeat. It's a testament to resilience. Through his artistry, Karloff shattered the chains of typecasting. He showed the world that monsters aren't always what they seem. Beneath the terror, he revealed themes of vulnerability, isolation, and misunderstood humanity. His legacy transcends fear. It's one of perseverance, redemption, and empathy. Decades after his passing, Boris Karloff's influence endures. Filmmakers, actors, and horror enthusiasts continue to study his work, finding inspiration in his ability to turn fear into something deeply meaningful. Perhaps Karloff's greatest feat wasn't creating monsters at all, but making those monsters feel human. So here's a question to ponder. Was Boris Karloff's fate sealed the moment he first donned the monster's makeup? Or was he a master of his own destiny, using fear as a canvas to craft art that would endure for generations? Now it's your turn to share your thoughts. What's your favorite Boris Karloff film? And do you think Hollywood gave him the recognition he truly deserved? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of horror legends and Hollywood's most fascinating figures. We have plenty of incredible stories coming your way. And trust me, you won't want to miss them. Thank you for watching. And remember, even in the darkest roles, greatness can still shine through.